circulated very quickly at the U of T in Cammon, and so they're probably not going anywhere. It's going to be interesting when it gets stinking hot. We've got our first heat wave coming next week. I mean, I appreciate they're sleeping in the outdoors and they're in tents, but it can still get pretty heated in a tent. Then I came across this article, and it's one of those things where it's, has it come to this? But apparently Costco is now selling driveway security bollards. Costco finds Canada as a TikTok account, and they shared a video that shows a set of manual retractable bollards for sale for $569, and the company that was listed as the manufacturer confirms all this is true. A company called Ontario Bollards. And I haven't seen the video, so I have to presume this is not like the bollards that one guy installed to protect his Maserati or whatever. It was an extreme luxury car. And those things go up and down, and that had to cost like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. These are probably a bit more like the bollards you'll see at the ends of a pedestrian mall, where they're like on a hinge, and you take out a pin and you can drop them and drive through. 7:15, speaking of driving, News Talk 1010 Time Saver Traffic.
Or not, depending on where you're traveling, and maybe you're stuck in a jam. We've been talking about some ongoing issues. South 427 Express ramp to the East Gardner. Left lane was out, no longer the case. I can see traffic flowing through there. The collector ramp to the East Gardner is definitely a better option. You will not be able to access the West Gardner from the westbound Lakeshore at Jarvis. This is all for a stalled dump truck, and I'm definitely seeing jams through here. Toronto Police are on scene. Just getting word of a stall as well. North 400, north of the 401 in the right lane. Not a huge jam in this area. Rest of the drive, just a case of volume. Metrolinx is closing Furlough Drive in Halton Region for 10 days from June 14th to 23rd. More details are available on their website at metrolinx.com/Halton. I'm Lisa Morales. Next update at 7:30 on News Talk 1010 Toronto.
Weather-wise, we've got a mixture of sun and cloud, a high of 23 for today. Bit of a mixed bag tomorrow. We start with a mix of sun and cloud. That gives way to more cloud and the risk of a thunderstorm, maybe some showers. A little on the windy side late in the morning as well. The high 28 degrees. The weather brought to you by Lexus of Vaughan. Take an extra $1,000 off select NX models this June. Lexus of Vaughan, near Canada's Wonderland in the Maple Auto Mall. Luxury is closer than you think. Okay, one last thing on the car theft file. Mayor of Brampton, Patrick Brown, actually went to the Port of Newark to see what they do with shipping containers, and he made a video.
The Port of Newark is the busiest commercial port in the entire east coast of the United States. This is a busy port. What they do here does not stop the supply chain. They're able to scan shipping containers, check for criminality, and to continue the flow of commerce. This is a great example for us to learn from. It is a sea of economic activity, but stolen goods don't get out of this port. In the U.S., they know how to chew gum and walk at the same time. I'm at the Port of Newark, which is the highest auto theft recovery port in the United States. They scan shipping containers here that they believe could be involved in criminality. They use modern technology to make sure that organized crime does not win in this area. And there's a lot of lessons that can be learned for Canada.
And Joe Cristiano, clearly in our promotional videos that we shoot, we need more dramatic music.
Okay, I will work that out the next time.
All right. But I like the tenor and the content of that video, because I always say, we have problems, and what do? We sit in a room and try to come up with brand new solutions, as if nobody's ever faced down these problems in any other jurisdiction. So instead, Patrick Brown went to Newark to see what they do, and he learned a thing or two. It's 7:18. In just a moment, is this the end of the fight to stop the spa?
Infrastructure in Toronto is in bad shape.
So, one of the things we're definitely going to talk about today.
News Talk 1010 Toronto.
And as the city grows,
From parks to long-term care homes
we have to maintain what we have.
and transit.
More news.
Guard trucks against the arsons that are common in Toronto's tow truck turf wars.
More talk.
The Greater Toronto area has been the scene of significant violence.
My life has been different. I have been different. More Toronto.
News brought to you by Magic. Better, smarter windows. Visit magicwindow.ca. If you're the kind of person who still misses your old black and white TV, rotary telephones, and sending faxes, then you may need a little time to get used to crankless windows from Magic. But once you discover just how simple magic windows are to operate, you'll wonder why you ever cranked before. Crankless, draftless, effortless, magical. For more info, visit us at magicwindow.ca. It's not really magic, it's just better, smarter thinking.
Callum. Yes, Michael. Dennis is really excited about our new created diamonds that display the mark of Cupid. Oh, I'm excited about them too. What's so special about them? The mark of Cupid is an optical phenomenon that occurs when a diamond is cut with perfect symmetry. Can you see something inside the diamond? Yes, you can see the arrows Cupid fires from his bow, and you can see perfect Valentine's hearts, but only if the symmetry of the diamond is absolutely perfect. It's almost impossible to do. We have them? Here, get directly above it and look down through the center. I see them, and they're made of light. That's amazing. If it was easier, all diamonds would be cut this way. It sounds really expensive. A 1 carat starts at $3,399. A 1.5 carat starts at $5,499. I would have guessed a lot more. They usually are more, but the suspense. Suspense. Wow! Located in Vaughan, Scarborough, and Mississauga. You know all about Frank Leo because I know all about Frank Leo. He and his team are the #1 RE/MAX team in Toronto and the GTA. The key to Frank's formula is that everybody already knows about Frank. If you've heard about him, then anyone you want to sell your home to is going to hear about your home. Frank attracts millions of eyeballs. That means that everybody who's looking to buy a home will hear about yours. They'll visit it online. If they're really serious, they'll visit it in person. Frank and his team will work to seal the deal. And if they don't, you've got the confidence of knowing Frank will buy the home anyway. No jittery moment when an agent says, you know what, you're going to have to reel in those expectations. Frank buys your home, you move on with a check in your pocket. Call the team I trust, Frank Leo and Associates. 416-917-5466. That's 416-917-LION. Or go to Frank's website, getleo.com, and you can start packing with confidence.
Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? Do you ever experience brain fog? Improve your memory and think clearly again with Clear Brain from New Nordic. Clear Brain is specifically formulated to help maintain cognitive function and help support memory. Using a powerful combination of clinically proven all-natural ingredients like ginkgo and walnut extract, New Nordic's Clear Brain is Scandinavia's #1 selling cognitive health supplement. Available at Shoppers Drug Mart, Walmart, Loblaws, Jean Coutu, and London Drugs, or online at Amazon and newnordic.ca. Has your home or business been damaged by fire, wind, or flood? Insurance companies try to minimize your claim, but you can hire your own adjuster to negotiate for you. Onyx is on it. Onyx Adjusting works on your behalf to maximize your settlement, and they don't get paid unless you do. Many saw payouts increase an average of 50%, even up to 400%. Insurance companies have experts representing their best interests, and so should you. Visit onyxadjusting.ca. That's ONYX adjusting.ca.
You're listening to More in the Morning on News Talk 1010, Toronto.
You know, sometimes when they're holding an inquiry into the conduct of a police officer, it's painfully evident. I mean, we have to say allegedly until they're found guilty, but painfully evident that they are either a bad cop or they did a bad thing. But there's a very compelling case unfolding this week, an inspector named Joyce Schertzer. And what happened was this. Her nephew was in a single car accident and called her. She called a cop and told that cop to go to the scene. But then she hopped in a car and went to the scene. She ended up being the first person on the scene. So the other cop, some people are insisting, gave special treatment to the young man and didn't breathalyze him, for example. And apparently he came back to the scene, the young man, a couple of hours later, and this time did smell like alcohol. But the question is, did the police inspector actually, by merely even showing up, create a specialized situation for her nephew? She says, I was there as Aunt Joyce. His parents and family were out of town. I was the only person. I was worried about him, so I went to the scene, but I stood back. Now, one damning piece of evidence that came up yesterday was apparently she told the police officer he could turn his camera off. I'll never understand that. What circumstances are there you can turn your camera off when you're in the middle of some kind of interaction. Let's talk about the infamous potential spa at Ontario Place, built by the Therme company. And yesterday's kind of a complicated affair, but I guess my guest is going to be able to explain the exact guts of it. But effectively, a lawsuit filed by Ontario Place for All was tossed out by the judge. Norm Di Pasquale is co-chair of Ontario Place for All. It's nice to have you. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
The nature of the lawsuit was to compel the government to do an environmental survey, right, which the government has bypassed.
Yes, exactly. So the nature of the lawsuit was just to ask the government to follow their own laws and do an environmental assessment of West Island, which they plan to completely obliterate for a massive mega spa. That's exactly what it was.
Okay, and unfortunately you lost. That must have been disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of understand what happened yesterday, we need to go back to the beginning of the court case. So we brought an action in November asking the Ontario government to follow their own laws and conduct an environmental assessment of West Island where they plan to obliterate the entire island and Lakeville. And then in December, they actually brought an act focused on, kind of counteracting our action. So basically stripping away the protections of the Environmental Assessment Act, our Environmental Bill of Rights, protections against any legal malpractice or misfeasance. And that was brought in December, and it seems like it was brought very specifically to sort of kneecap our legal action. And yesterday, the judges agreed that that act they brought in December, after our court case started, effectively kneecapped our action.
Okay, but the judge ruled, obviously, the government gonna government.
Yes, so, based on that act that they brought in December that strips all rights and protections from Ontario Place, the judges, agreed yesterday that all rights and protections are stripped from Ontario Place. And, as Ontario Place for All, we're just very concerned about the legal precedent this sets. For our other Ontario public institutions like the Ontario Science Centre, the ROM, the McMichael Gallery, like what is next? The government can inoculate themselves against any legal action where we ask them to follow their own laws. I think this is a very concerning precedent, and our attention turns to West Island, where we're very worried that an imminent cutting of 850 mature trees may happen at any time.
Do you have other legal avenues?
So there is another court case by a different group called Ontario Place Protector, which is challenging Bill 154, the quote-unquote Rebuilding Ontario Place Act, that it betrays the public trust is unconstitutional, and that action is heading before the courts very soon. And we think that that's a good challenge. They shouldn't be bringing laws that strip all rights and protections from, what is public taxpayer-funded space. So that is coming, and then the Auditor General is also bringing a report, I think, at some point this year, and we're really excited for that because when they've shone a light on the government in the past, it has caused the government to reverse course, and we really need a light shone at Ontario Place.
Okay, well, let's talk about the spa, because I'm not one of those people who sweats those trees. I have to be perfectly honest. I'm an environmentalist. I don't like rampant overdevelopment, but I also think creating a tourist attraction, a family destination at Ontario Place may not be such a bad idea.
Yeah, so I would say let's not do it on the backs of taxpayers. So, we're talking about a $450 million taxpayer-funded underwater parking lot, $200 million of taxpayer money to prepare the site for the mega spa, and then, roughly $400 million for the demolishing and the diminishing of the Ontario Science Centre, which the Auditor General said was brought to Ontario Place so they could justify this hugely expensive taxpayer-funded parking lot. So, enough of the corporate welfare. If something can stand on its own two legs and ideally celebrates and reflects Ontario, then, so be it.
Do you get the impression that there's generalized public support for the work and the advocacy that you are doing? Because I think most people have gone to sleep on the file.
Yeah, I mean, there have been lots of twists and turns in this file, like there are in any file. Like I was the chair of No Jets TO, where we fought the Jets at the Island Airport, and that went lots of twists and turns. At the last minute, after it looked like maybe we hadn't won, victory came. So I would just say it's a marathon and not a sprint. We all need to hang in there. This is not the last chapter of this fight. There's another lawsuit, there's the Auditor General report, and perhaps there's an early election coming next year that might throw a wrench in things. I think Therme still has time to make a different choice than choosing to ruin Ontario Place for a giant glass mega spa.
Richard Flores.